News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Ed Kalegi. President Trump will host President Volodymyr Zelenskiy in Washington on Monday after the U.S. president abandoned his push for an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine, and Vladimir Putin again insisted that Kyiv give up land in peace talks. Trump told the Ukrainian president and European leaders in a call that Putin wants Kyiv to cede control of the entire Donbas region in Ukraine's east, renewing his long-standing demand. This according to people familiar with the matter who spoke on condition of anonymity. Friday evening, in a conversation on Fox News with Sean Hannity, Trump said Zelensky needs to make a deal.
Now it's really up to President Zelensky to get it done. And I would also say the European nations, they have to get involved a little bit. But it's up to President Zelensky. I think we are, and if they'd like, I'll be at that next meeting. They're going to set up a meeting now between President Zelensky and President Putin. And myself, I guess, I didn't ask you about it. Not that I want to be there, but I want to make sure it gets done. And we have a pretty good chance of getting it done.
Also in that Fox News interview with Sean Hannity, President Trump said he will hold off on raising tariffs on Chinese goods over the country's purchases of Russian oil, citing progress he said was made with Vladimir Putin toward ending the war in Ukraine.
Well, because of what happened today, I think I don't have to think about that. Now, I may have to think about it in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something, but we don't have to think about that right now. I think the meeting went very well.
Trump earlier this month threatened buyers of Russian energy with additional tariffs as a means of pressuring Putin into peace talks with Ukraine. The president already doubled duties on Indian products to 50% starting August 27th over its purchases of oil from Moscow. Hurricane Erin has strengthened into a catastrophic Category 5 hurricane north of the Caribbean islands. Here's meteorologist Craig Allen.
Hurricane Erin has undergone extreme intensification, rapid intensification, and is now a Category 5 hurricane sitting about 100 miles to the north of the Leeward Islands, about 235 miles away from San Juan, Puerto Rico. But the core of the system, fortunately, will remain north of all these islands, but the maximum winds have now just achieved 160 miles per hour with even stronger wind gusts.
The Wall Street Journal reports National Guard troops deployed to Washington, D.C. are preparing to carry weapons in the coming days. This according to people familiar with the change, a shift that comes days after President Trump said he was sending them to take back the Capitol from what he described as violent criminals. Defense officials had previously said the 800 National Guard soldiers deployed to the city would not be armed, like many federal law enforcement agents sent to the Capitol. They also weren't to have weapons in their vehicles. Late Friday, some Guard members deployed to Washington were told to expect an order to carry weapons, according to people familiar with the planning. Dovetailing with this, hundreds of West Virginia National Guard members will be deployed across the nation's capital. Republican Governor Patrick Morrisey announced Saturday he was sending a contingent of 300 to 400 to nearby Washington at the Republican administration's request. A White House official says President Trump's aides have created a scorecard ranking hundreds of companies based on their efforts to support his signature tax cut law. We get more on this from Bloomberg's Charlie Pellett.
The list ranks 553 different businesses as either strong, moderate, or low partners on the mega bill, which extended and expanded tax cuts from the president's first term and provided billions of dollars in additional funding for immigration enforcement. It's not clear how the scores will affect the way the federal government deals with the firms, but the official, speaking on the condition of anonymity, suggested that companies' rankings could change based on present and future support for presidential initiatives. In New York, Charlie Pellett, Bloomberg Radio.
Air Canada grounded hundreds of flights and locked out flight attendants after they went on strike, disrupting some 130,000 passengers a day during the summer holiday season. About 10,000 flight attendants walked off the job early Saturday after pay talks between the Canadian Union of Public Employees and the country's biggest airline fell through. Flight staff set up picket lines at Toronto Pearson, Canada's busiest airport, where the departure board showed one cancellation after another. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Ed Kalegi. This is Bloomberg.